Yorodoro. How's it like that? How do I change this? Yorodoro.
Change the view.
Here we go.
Change you to
Speaker.
that doesn't bounce as to whoever's talking.
Oh, yeah. What is going on? Hello, Tanya. Hello, Jose. Hello, Andy Potts.
Go to gallery.
What up? What up?
What up?
Daniel Brandon, Brian Abraham here. We got Darth Maul himself, Andy Potts. Very nice, buddy. Appreciate that.
My warm sweatshirt by courtesy of my son, Daniel. No, that is not to mean that you are my son, Daniel. That is to mean that you influenced giving the gift. This is my Christmas gift, just to be clear, from my son. And Daniel was like, hey, you should get your dad this. And he helped steer my son to a heated sweatshirt, which is quite nice.
It's weird. It's like I know you or something.
Yeah, almost.
Why do you have to wear your clothes?
Yeah.
You didn't get to see that yesterday.
I did.
Oh, it's so good.
So if you, see that, this movement, when you ski with Andy, this is what he does all day. He just goes like this. And he's got these giant gloves. They're like this big, so he looks like Mickey Mouse.
You know, funny.
And
I've never actually thought of what I look like when I do it. And now that you are pantomiming it, I must look really silly. So, but no apologies for it, because it's the hand warmers that I'm trying to activate. And if I don't have hand warmers, I will ski for like maybe an hour.
yeah. But the good part of the story is I was telling Brian all about it. Like the night before we went to go skiing, I was like, dude, you got to see Mickey Mouse over there all day. Like this, and doing it. And then
I was practicing it on the lift.
and then it was warm and he didn't do anything. So whatever.
We did, you and I rode a couple lifts together, and I was doing it on the lift, but Brian wasn't in the chair, so he couldn't see it. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to get down to business, Mr. Potts?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is our monthly team meeting. We got a few questions that we saw already from people who submitted. If you have another question and you didn't submit it, just hit us up in the chat. We're going to pull it up so we can see it, and we will answer questions as we go. Sound good?
Sounds great.
And yeah, I'll field the questions and then we can tag team them. So I'll watch the chat if that's cool.
Yep.
So a couple things we got to go over today. You want to start with logistics, Mr. Potts?
So logistics, what we have is for all of our coaching athletes that we are, whether it's plans or one-on-one, we are ending the cycle and we're beginning a new cycle. We have new plans starting
Next week.
If you don't see them in your inbox and your Training Peaks log already, have no fear. They will be in there on time, ready to rock and roll. We've been planning out the season, and working hard on it.
This is primarily for the custom plan athletes. If you are one-on-one or Potsheads Plus, don't worry, you and your coach are rocking and rolling. But that's really cool. On my screen, I got Andy Potts and Andy Potts below her. Each other. That's really cool. Hi, Kathy. I gotta screen grab that because that's really good. Okay. No. Okay. So if you are a custom plan athlete, you will see your plan updated starting next week with your custom plan for the year for training. Some people asked if you're going to get a call from one of our coaches or if you could talk to them. Typically, we will reach out via email or phone, never snail mail, if we have questions on your athlete training survey. But if you're like, hey, I really want to talk to someone, just email us and we'll hit you up. And again, this is for our custom plan athletes. Sound good? Cool. Next thing, for our Potsheads Plus athletes or our one-on-one athletes, one thing I just wanted to kind of reinforce or bring back up is Andy and I and the rest of our coaches, we're like mirrors. We reciprocate what comes at us. So we reciprocate energy, just like in your training, good energy in, good energy out. It's the same thing with your coaches. So if we see you're not really putting in the effort on your end, It's not that we won't put in the effort, but you'll get less from us. I'm going to be honest, because we reciprocate energy. You got that, Kathy Potts? All right, there we go. Okay. Next logistical thing. People keep on asking about team gear. This is the latest we've ever ordered team gear. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of complications that we have as a team that other teams don't have because of Andy and the fact that a lot of the sponsors are tied to our benefits. Have no fear. You will have your gear in time for the season. We're working that out. So the delivery date won't change. It's more about when you're going to order that's changing right now. But we got it covered. Be on the lookout.
I am taking responsibility for that. Because we don't have like a really clear direction right now, that doesn't mean that we're not working on it. I literally have to make a decision, which is probably going to happen today. I need to have it bounced off. I really count on two people to help me. Hopefully you guys have these sounding boards for yourself too. I count on two people, and I do questions like, if you were me, what would you do? I try to present what I think are the facts, but sometimes it's my perspective of what is the fact, what are the facts. And I'm
people through your BS.
Right. But I'm having trouble making the decision. So I'm asking Daniel and I'm asking my wife, and we're really communicating about it. And it's just not an easy decision right now. So I apologize. I am making a decision today, and we will move forward. I think we're going to have them by camp. That's the goal.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Next thing, before we get into the meat of it and potatoes, we had a few questions that already came up.
Okay.
One was, no, actually we answered all of these. Oh no, here's one for you, Andy. Pre-workout routine. Do you, especially for all athletes, do you stretch, roll, do specific types of movements? What's your go-to, and also what's your go-to pre-workout snack?
Okay, that's a great question. All right, so it's a little different for each discipline and depending on what I'm doing. But when you think about your approach to swimming or your approach to riding or your approach to running, you should have a series of like a protocol or a series of movements that you should be doing to activate. Actually, yesterday I went skiing and I had some activation things I was doing before I actually went skiing. I know there's a lot of gravity in skiing, and we fight against gravity with the disciplines we do, but you should be doing activation series. What I can do is I can come up with like a really good protocol for a swim, a bike, and a run. My protocol for swimming is very clear. It's stretch cords and some glute activation. A lot of people neglect the legs when they swim. They think it's all shoulders and arms. And I think that's a really good thing that I could put together for everybody. And for running, what I'll do is it's a lot of posterior chain activation right before I go run, even after I bike. So if I'm riding and I'm getting ready to run, and it's in training, obviously not in a race. I don't do this series in a race. I'll do it before the race starts, but I don't ride and then do an activation.
No, you usually sit down and transition. You get
Start with the espresso machine.
Yeah.
I do sit down and transition. So even the last half Ironman I sat down. I make no excuses. I'm 45 and that's what happens. So, for the posterior activation, I'll go over really quick. What it is like I lean against a wall, and I will do I'll do some knee over the toes to really engage my soleus and gastroc. Then I'll do a front leg forward, still pushing against the wall, and then I drive the knee towards the chest to try to get the foot action off the ground, initiated in a static position. It's kind of a dynamic static motion. And then as I'm doing that, my watch is searching for the GPS signal. So that's kind of my telltale. I set up the position, wait for my watch to get the satellite. It doesn't take long. I mean, mine probably takes, I can do the whole thing in 45 seconds to a minute of activation to make sure the run's just a little bit better. And then post workouts, that's actually the best time for me to stretch. I do a little bit of stretching before running and swimming, but most of my stretching is done afterwards as the muscles warm. Sometimes when your muscles are tight, you can't get even the tendons aren't warmed up, so you're a little bit restricted. I don't mind a little bit of I would rather have you activate before and stretch after. And we have gone through a stretching protocol post run. A lot of it is below your knee and your low back is what we're really targeting. And by that, I mean like low back, glutes, hamstrings. IT bands can be a real big trigger for a lot of people. Calves, gastroc soleus, and then your plantar, or like what's happening underneath your foot. So if you develop IT band syndrome or like an Achilles issue or plantar fasciitis, those three things can ruin your month. And a little bit of what is that Mary Poppins thing where she's like,
spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down?
Oh, that's Mary Poppins. Yeah, you're right. It's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we're trying to do the ounce. No, but you were right.
Definitely not Mary Poppins.
But yeah, so that's what we're doing with activation and stretching is that ounce of prevention. And that can help keep you healthy and actually maximizing all of your workouts. So this is a great question. I will come up with a protocol for the team.
What we'll do, Andy, is we'll do a quick little recording of you doing it.
Awesome.
And then we'll send it out to everyone so you guys have it. And we'll accompany it with the list of stuff as well. Sounds cool?
Up this weekend so we can film.
Perfect. I love it. We'll hang out.
Sweet.
Celebrate MLK Day. All right, two more logistic questions. Can you confirm other potential camps? Colorado Springs camp, it's in July. I don't know the date, but it's up on the website. I think we got 12 people already registered, so we're 90% full. And so that's not 90. I made that math up.
Really bad math.
Yeah, but I did on purpose.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm actually good at math.
Right.
But
I know
so
Brian, nice to meet you.
if you want to come to Colorado Springs camp, that'd be great. Any other camps are on hold right now? Oh, July 25th to July 30th, Olympic City, USA.
We are working another camp, Daniel, with TJ in Iowa. That would be 1 month before the Des Moines North American Championships. So if we have a bunch of people who want to go race that would influence my decision to commit to the camp. But it would be a condensed camp. It would not be the 6 days, 5 nights. It will be 4 days, 3 nights. It'll be ride focused, and TJ at Diamond would help run it. And that is on the decision-making process that's happening this week.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of aerodynamic talk and position talk and things like that. It'd be very bike focused and get people ready for that course. The other question I think I already answered, will my training plan be pushed into Training Peaks? If you connected your account 2 hours as a custom plan athlete, it will be pushed. If not, we'll send you an email. But you had to fill out the training survey. If you didn't fill that out, we haven't done anything for you. So I'll send my 45th reminder about that if you'd like. No problem. Good to go. That's all the questions. But Andy, what is I want to talk a little about motivation, because this time of year is interesting. Some people aren't motivated to get started. It's really hard to get started. Other people are hyper motivated. Other people get really motivated and it gets really hard because you haven't trained for a while. Hey, Brittany, how's it going? And it's like, oh, this is really hard. I can't stay motivated. Talk to me. What's our quote about motivation, first of all? Do you remember it? And two, you got any recommendations for these guys?
Yeah. So what we like to say is motivation is like bathing. You need to do it every day. It is sometimes it's definitely a task, but it's sometimes it can be a chore. And when you think of kids and chores, it usually comes with some pushback because a little bit, you don't really, it's like, oh, do I have to do it? I'm going to reference a great run coach. His name is Arthur Lilliard, and he was the run guy who really popularized the jogging phase in the 1970s. And he had some really great athletes come through New Zealand that won Olympic medals, won major marathons, all these things. And he really popularized how to train for a marathon. And what we're trying to do with marathon training is you want to prepare your body for the training so you can do the training that is necessary. So it's kind of like 3 steps. How do you prepare for the training, to prepare for the training, to prepare for the training that's necessary? And in that regard, I'd like to set up motivation in the same way. There's a core tenet that he spoke about that is mental resilience. And this mental toughness, this everlasting energy source that you have, when you get you guys have all felt in really good shape, and you get to a point where you're either preparing for a half or an Olympic, or the race is getting closer and you're in great shape. You feel like if you go do a 4-hour bike ride, no factor. It's not an issue. 4 hours. Yeah, no problem. You have the protocol set up, meaning you got your bottles. You've got, what clothes you're wearing based off of the weather. You've got, all these small things that you don't need to think about. Those hurdles are cleared. You've already set up the systems and process in place. And you have the fitness for the resilience for the ride. What is lacking in the beginning of the year is that mental, where you don't mentally fatigue. And you guys may feel it at the beginning of the year. I certainly do. I'll go ride a trainer ride. We did a group trainer ride last week in Zwift. It was 70 minutes. I think I rode my bike for 80 minutes. And I was like, whoa, 80 minutes. That was legit. Like, oh, man, I can't believe 2 months ago I was riding 7 hours, no factor. And now I'm getting I feel like the hurdle to get an hour and a half ride in is high. Why is that? And it's because you have to build up the tolerance to handle the workload. And the same thing is true with your motivation. So I need a little bit of motivation that will snowball into a bigger motivation, into more motivation. And as you get closer, as you get more fit, as you start to develop the tolerance and the resilience that's necessary to excel, your adaptability to the workload is enhanced by your mental capacity to handle the work. So what we're asking when it comes to motivation is just a little bit. It's not everything on day one. We're not asking you to plan out your whole year and stay motivated from day one to day 365 and have it be this linear flat line. It's like, I'm always motivated. No problems. The dots are clear. What we're looking for is just like a little bit of motivation. I got to get moving. Just get pedaling. Just jump in the water. Just lace up the shoes and start the jog or whatever it may be. And it starts to add on itself. You start to feel that positive sense of reinforcement from a green Training Peaks block or a ticking the box when it comes to what you've been able to accomplish the day before, or you've got a nice rhythm where it's 5 days in a row and you don't want to mess up the rhythm. Whatever it is, all we're asking for in terms of motivation, and you have to recreate it every day, it's just a little bit. We're not asking you to go, you can never go from mile 1 to mile 26 on a run without running through each of the other previous miles. Same thing where you can't, if your goal is to win the race and you're sitting in 9th place, you can't go from 9th place to 1st place in one stride. You have to go through to get to 8th, get to 7th, get to 6th. So it's the same mentality, just a little bit. And that's also the sense of give me 5. Can you give me 5 minutes of motivation? 5 seconds. Let's go 5 seconds of motivation. Yeah, I'm motivated today. And they'll start to snowball on itself. So that's kind of the whole process of motivation. It's not always going to be there, especially if you are pushing what you are truly capable of doing this year. It's going to be, it's a challenge, and that's part of the process. And hopefully it'll be a learning process for each and every one of you.
Yeah. At the end of the day, a little bit goes a long way. Consistency really helps with consistency routine really help with motivation too, because you just get into autopilot and you move and you do. It's like checking boxes, plain and simple. Andy, there's another question here I just saw, and I'm going to start answering it and then you could jump in. How's that sound? This is like my soapbox. It's our soapbox. Right? How do you improve training or endurance or whatever to improve your Ironman run? And there's two things that go on here. One is the run itself. A lot of people train speed when they should be training strength for running. Ironman running is strength running. It is not speed running. So you have to learn how to run a lot of tempo, a lot of, I'll call it sub threshold, and you have to work on like leg strength and leg drive more than anything else. You can do that through your running, through weight training, how you run. The other thing, which is the more important one, is you get better on the run in Ironman by being better on the bike. You can't run well if you can't bike well. So the example I always give, let's say you want to ride 300 watts, 430 in an Ironman, easy math, right? Well, we train you to be able to ride 320 or 330 watts, and you could totally do it and probably ride 410, which is really fast. Those aren't real numbers for you guys. Don't worry. But the goal is not to go 330 and 410. It's to go 305 and 430, because then you get off and you run really well. Too many people train their bike to be really strong, but then they use all of it and then they can't run. So we need to make your bike stronger so you can be a stronger runner. And that's a big part of our training. Like all you guys, I know Kathy and Tanya and Brittany are looking at me right now. Like, I'm only racing a half. Why am I doing 5-hour rides 2 days in a row for 15 weeks? That's not true, but it's close to that. It's so you can run. And I think, Brittany, you had some pretty good runs this year, didn't you? Oh, baby. Kathy Potts did too, and so did Tanya. And Kathy's a good runner already. So is everyone is, but you know what I mean.
I'm not.
No, you're not.
I'm terrible.
Brian's a terrible runner. We're working on it, though. We're just making his bike stronger.
Right.
So that's really what you have to think about with your bike and your run. To get your run stronger, you actually got to get your bike stronger, and you have to think of, when we talk about like kilojoule burn, Andy, right? And like a lot of people train just enough that like, oh, I could finish the bike or I could finish the run. Well, no, you need to be able to handle a kilojoule burn for an entire event. And so that's why sometimes like Andy's getting ready for St. George right now, or as are some other guys. They'll do rides that have the same kilojoule burn as their entire Ironman race, because they're trying to train their body without the real hard effects from a run and get all that burn. Make sense? What do you think, Andy?
Two things to piggyback on right there. Number one is when you look at the energy required to complete your race, from when the alarm goes off in the morning to you crossing the finish line. There's only so much energy you can put into your body, and you have to use what the training that you've gone to lead into the day. So we want to make it so that you can get to the finish line with a smile, as opposed to like that fade to the finish line. And you can get it in, for work. That's also why we do more swimming than what is required on the swim. On a regular, almost every time you're getting wet, you're swimming farther than 1900 meters. And I think also there's the big benefit of non-impact for your running. You can improve your heart and lungs, cardiovascular system on the bike and in the swim without the impact. So you'll see that the run comes last, but it will be there for you if you are metering out your effort on the bike and not overriding, but you're riding at the level where you can ride and still run great. And then the better you get at running, you can push the bike a little bit more. And the better you get at biking, you can have your run show up and shine more and more. So you kind of have to look at what's required on race day in terms of that closed energy system on the day, how much energy is used, and then how to get better without really staying away from injuries. And that's a big focus for why we stress the, swimming and riding, and running is stressed too, but it comes last of the three disciplines.
Absolutely. All right. Anyone got any questions? It could be logistical, training, nutrition, does not matter, but we'll field any questions you guys have right now. You could either just unmute yourself or hit us up in the chat. We'll just stare at you until then. No? Okay, cool.
I have a question.
Go Shots and Watts. What's up?
What's the potential month for the Iowa camp?
May 12th to the May 15th.
Okay, cool.
No, yeah. It's the weekend following the Ironman in St. George. And that would give us 4 weeks prior to June 12th, which is the Des Moines race.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I think what we're aiming for is like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type thing.
Yeah, and we're gonna put something out. It'll be mostly for our crew and elite level athletes, but we will be in St. George and running workouts that week as well. It'll be a little less formal, but if you'd like to come out and train or experience Ironman, we will be there. And we'll have a schedule. It's just going to be a bit more informal, and you guys are more welcome to join us. All right, we got 2 questions here. You want to take the first one or the second one?
Yeah, I'll take the first one. So Barbara's got a question. We heard, I went over the pre-workout kind of activation or warm-up routine. What about pre-nutrition for the workouts? Nutrition's very personal. I feel like some people tolerate some foods better than others. If you're getting ready for an Ironman, I would encourage you to develop an iron gut, and you have to try new things. You have to in your training, and then you also have to look at what is offered on the race course, so you can get you can familiarize your gut to what's being offered on the race day. I think that's underrated. The other thing that is tried and true is if you consume a lot of protein before you are doing like a run where you're supporting your own weight, you can develop GI distress with protein. So I would lower your protein intake, up your carbohydrate intake, and experiment with where you want to be with fats. If those are the three kind of core sources for where you're getting your nutrition. If I've experimented a couple different ways I'm doing it. I've had really big meals and go and ride and run long days. And it's about like 90 minutes of discomfort where it's like, oh, this stinks. Like my tummy really is bothering me. I don't know if I want to be out here. I have a 7-hour ride. I ate way too much. I feel terrible. Let's just keep pedaling, see what happens. That's probably happened to me. I don't know, like I'm training for 22 years for this thing. I'm going to say it's probably happened like 2,000 times. No, 4,000 times. And that's pretty awful. But then when you undereat and you bonk, I've bonked way less. I'm saying I probably bonked maybe like 500, 750 times, maybe 800. And that sucks too. So where can you be on the sliding scale of, I don't want to bonk and I don't want to have this GI distress that lasts the entire workout. So like when you look at like a what are you consuming before a race? I would start there. And then you can experiment from there. Up the calories, lower the calories. So what is a good pre-race? I like I learned this from my son. He does running, and he'll have like a piece of toast with some peanut butter. That works pretty well pre-race. He hydrates, and what I don't go to is like all eggs. I found that all eggs for me is too much protein. I do like cereal with toast. That can sit well. I also look at what travels well. Like if I have to drive to ride or drive to run, I think you need to experiment with this one. You can go as low or as little as nothing. See what happens if you fuel with nothing, and then you can go fueling too much, and then you do the sliding scale with it. That's kind of, I would start with something benign, and I would go from there. I would start with something benign and something that you tolerate well, and that'll be my pre.
All right.
I'm sorry to be more specific.
All right. I'll give you a little specific here. Maybe Pop-Tarts are great. No, seriously. Like Andy said, you got to do your own thing. I find most people overeat. That's just my opinion. Most people overeat pre and post workout. If you're working out under an hour or two a day, you probably don't need too much pre or post, to be honest. That's just my opinion. From years of experimentation, I've only bonked twice, not 4,000 times, so we're good. No, I'm only kidding.
I've seen you bonk. It's not
all the time. All right, we got 7 minutes, Andy. So I'm going to hit these really quick. Recovery swim, Jose. Do you recommend to do it on days we're supposed to rest? Rest days are for rest. Swimming actually has natural massage tendencies and characteristics. So it actually is pretty good to stretch out and swim if you want to on a rest day. But I'm talking like 1,500 stretch out, backstroke, fins. But you should not take a rest day, especially if you're training more than, I'd say, 12 hours a week. Rest days are good. Corey, specific races the team will have a large presence at. We're still waiting for you guys, everyone, to fill out the calendar so that we can pick our races. Only about a quarter of you filled it out so far. I will send a link out this week to remind everyone to do it. Please do it. Steve, biking outdoors versus biking indoors and racing outdoors after you trained all year indoors. I'll tell you, this is the thing. Andy's done it for years. It works. It actually works great. You can train great indoors. The biggest problem you're going to have is your stabilizing muscles and glute activation. You will have tightness in your glutes when you race outdoors, more than likely. I give it a 60% chance, and you have muscle activation issues. Like 70, 80. The way you can help with that is you got to do more posterior chain work, more glute work in your training. We'll get Brian to get you on that. And if you have to, Steve, I know where you live. It's I don't mean that in a weird way. I do know where you live. Take out your mountain bike, come down into the springs, into the valley, and go ride your mountain bike a little bit. Do some other stuff. Do some cadence work on the mountain bike. I'll get Brian to dial up with you, and we'll be good to go. You'll be fine if you have an early season race. But it's been warm in the springs too. I know you got to come down, but it's been pretty warm if you want to come ride. It'd be great. All right. Last thing, we were going to take you guys through a big announcement. Hoob Wetsuits, Andy Potts Racing. We are officially live. If you guys did not know, if we haven't told you 3,000 times, Andy, myself, Brian, Katie, we took over Hoob USA. So we are designing product, inventing product, and distributing product for Hoob in the United States of America. They started the product in England. We had to perfect it. It's kind of like, colonialism. Weird. Good teeth. I don't know. So here's the deal. Today, actually, you might have got it already. You'll get an email from us with a discount code for you, your friends, and your family. You can share it with your swim buddies, whoever you want. This is the best discount we will ever, ever, ever give until next time on all this stuff. So if you need swim stuff, go get it. If you're looking for some of the Pinnacle stuff, that is not out yet, but don't worry, it'll be here pretty soon. This code is going to be good for the next 10 days. It'll be for 50% off. That's a ton. If you'd like us to actually, Andy, maybe we'll talk next time, or not next time, it won't work. Maybe we'll send a quick video about some of the stuff. If you have questions about any of the product at all, you let us know. We helped on most, if not all of this stuff. The product is fantastic. The price is even better. Big reason we got into this, I'll call it this distribution game, and this because we want to make awesome wetsuits and awesome swim products and great goggles. And we want to be able to give it to you guys really cheap. This is the cheapest you'll get it. It's going to be awesome. The code's coming. If you have questions, let us know. Actually, they got it already.
Yeah, they should have.
You should have got it. It's in your inbox.
Yeah.
So, as we like to say here, get some food product, please. Does anyone have any other questions about anything? Because we're going to get kicked off in about 2 minutes. Anything? Anything at all?
I have a question.
Go.
How do you guys already have a wetsuit sold out?
But you want to go, Brian?
Yeah, the product's just not here yet. It's a
Yeah.
product we're going to carry. It's just not.
Okay.
It's not in stock yet
Yeah.
here. So,
Okay. Will there be an additional women's option or just one?
For right now, there should be 3 women's suits.
Right.
There should be the Aura
Mhm.
2, which is fantastic. It's like built how the men's Pinnacle's built. The Aegis X, which is the mid-tier entry level, but still not an entry level suit at all. It's fantastic. So when I swim in a lot, and the
Araya.
what?
Araya.
Araya, not Aura, Araya, sorry. And the
No,
Araya is not
The Aura 2, the Araya, and the Agilis.
Agilis. There you go. There you go.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Brittany, for you'll be better off in the Aura than the Agilis.
Okay,
Agilis is made, if you're looking at like you're a natural swimmer like Tanya, you'd be good in the Agilis, really flexible up top, no structure, and lots of buoyancy in the legs. The Aura has a little more structure up top to keep you in a good position and get going.
okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. But if you see sold out, it's sitting on the water somewhere. We told them just throw it in and we'll swim after it. But
Yeah. It also says so because we built the website all in one go, knowing we were getting it. But in terms of like linking it to the shipping depot where everything is held, it's just there's not the inventory is not in the shipping place.
yeah. And if you look at the goggles, just so you know, the Aphotic is probably the best-selling goggle Hoop has ever made. It's really comfortable
Until it comes out.
until the Pinnacle. So like Sam swam in the Pinnacle, so is Tanya. It's definitely the most comfortable goggle you'll ever wear. Just saying. Yeah, see? Hands up, Sam. Hands up. I knew I could get a cop to put his hands up. There we go. All right, guys. If there's no other questions, we're gonna head out here. If you want to see something funny, guys, Brian and we set up a Dexter scene in my house. Can you see that?
Oh, nice.
Dexter.
Season finale last night.
Yeah.
Party.
Yeah, so we threw a little party. Awesome, guys. All right, have a great day. We'll talk soon.
See ya.
Peace.